Hey guys, welcome back to the Grooming by Rudy podcast. As always, we are your hosts. I'm Rudy V, along with Anthony Ray. And guys, we want your opinion on this one, okay? Because we're going to be talking about dog parks. Are they safe? Are they not safe? And I'm going to share a story that happened to me this past summer that ended up in a fight and an arrest. So we got that coming up in this episode of the Grooming by Rudy podcast. Hey guys, welcome back. Once again, we are your hosts. I'm Rudy V, along with my son, Anthony Ray. We're so happy to have you guys with us here today. And guys, the topic of this podcast is dog park, right? Are they safe? Are they not safe? I mean, you guys, you're out there, you're doing your thing. You guys are pet owners. I'm sure a lot of you bring your dogs to the dog park. And personally, I mean, I don't wanna I don't wanna sway either way, but what do you think, Anthony? Overall, what do you think about dog parks?
I've never really liked dog parks. Not I like the concept of them. I think it's really cute
Yeah.
that dogs have like their own park, but I'm too nervous about I'm too nervous of a pet owner to be like, "Oh yeah, like let's go to the dog park." And I don't know, dogs mingling always make me very uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, like, even at the shop here, we kind of try our best to keep all the dogs separate. Like, when we take in dogs, I'm not crazy about, like, multiple people coming through the door all at the same time. I like to take one in. I give most people like a separate drop off time. Like I'll say, yeah, drop off at like 8:45, 9 o'clock, 9:15, 9:30. This way it creates a little bit of a gap so dogs aren't mingling. And it's really only for safety, right? I mean, it's not because we don't want the dogs to hang out and mingle or make friends or anything like that. It's just that sometimes, you got two dogs that just don't like each other or they're nervous, they're territorial, and you don't want anybody getting their nose bitten into, you know what I mean? Because, you took your dog to the grooming shop or the dog park. So again, like what Anthony said, you kind of have to. I'm a little bit leery about it too, and I'm going to share a story with you in a second. It's going to make you guys question it too. But again, we want your opinion though, because I'm for it and against it all at the same time. So I don't know. You know what I mean?
I think it's because we're groomers that we know, not that we know, but like it's like you said with the drop off times, like separate drop off times, like there are times that people drop off at the same time, and it's a very tense moment for a groomer because you don't want anything bad to ever happen in your shop as far as dogs fighting or anything like that because they should be separated. This isn't a dog park. This is a grooming shop. So uh, there's sort of a an expected safety that customers have, rightfully so, when they give us their dogs for the day. So when drop offs or pickups at the end of the day kind of accidentally intermingle, it's a high stress for us. And I guess I think that's where my fear comes with dog parks is I am so not used to having dogs commingle
Yeah.
like at all,
Yeah.
because this is where we at our shop is where all we have all these different dogs at the same time.
Yeah.
So I guess just a groomer is probably more likely to be nervous about a dog park than just a pet owner.
Yeah, and that's not for all you groomers. I know a lot of grooming shops that kind of, they do let dogs mingle. And again, like we're a little bit more systematic, maybe more a little more clinical. I don't know. Maybe it's just our paranoia. But I'm, and because I know there's a lot of, you know, dog grooming shops or even like, what do they call them? Like
Like
the
the doggy
daycares,
daycares,
doggy
yeah.
daycares that let dogs mingle and all of that. But so here, this is a story that I witnessed this past summer. So I walk around a lot, local parks here in North Jersey, and I was walking through a park this past summer, and there's a dog park in this park. And I always go there because I love dogs. I love animals. So I always go and hang out and just look, even though I don't have a dog, I didn't have a dog there, but I just like to look at the different breeds and I just like to watch them because I'm an animal lover and I just love anything animals. So as I'm like approaching the dog park, I hear 2 dogs going at it, like, and you can hear it. I mean, they're growling, and I look up, and here's a German Shepherd and a pit bull, and the shepherd was actually, quite larger than the pit bull, but the pit bull wasn't stepping down at all. But they were going at it, and they were trying to grab each other's necks. And alls I hear is just, the owners, "Ah, yeah, yeah," they're doing the whole thing screaming. So everybody's just looking. Um, so I look over, and the dogs, they kind of squashed it almost immediately. I mean, this happened literally in probably less than 10 seconds, right? Um, but you know, I thought, okay, and everybody kind of thought, oh, it's over. Dogs kind of just, whatever. Maybe they were playing, right? We always say that. Yeah, they're playing. But then voices started getting loud, and here goes the one of the owners just yelling at the other guy, and here's the testosterone going. Here's it. Maybe it's a North Jersey thing. I don't know. But the two guys just started arguing and saying, "Your dog bit my dog," just back and forth, and just escalated. They're cursing at each other now. Um, believe it or not, the dogs are actually making friends now. But these two guys, they're face to face, yelling at each other on whose dog bit who. Okay, lo and behold, one guy pushes the other guy goes and throw a punch. Next thing you know, they're on the ground, they're rolling around. A couple of the wives started jumping in, screaming, yelling. It, somebody got hurt. Okay. Um, lo and behold, cops are called. Now it's a big issue, right? Cops are going. Now I'm sticking around. I'm like, okay, my 1 mile walk around the park is done. I'm watching this now, And cops come, take a report. Ended up arresting one of the guys because somebody was filming it on their phone, and they showed what happened. And he hit first. Long story short, guy gets arrested. Just all over a dog park. Okay, this is just what happened, and.
Emotions run high at the dog park.
Yeah, and you're quick to defend your dog. You know what I mean? It's your child, right? And it seemed like to me, it seemed like the dogs were going at it. It wasn't just, they weren't just, sniffing each other's butts and testing each other's boundaries. This was more or less like had they not been kind of separated briefly, they would have ended up probably hurting each other. I don't think anybody got bitten into, no skin was broken or anything. But again, though, here's these two guys, you know, just, exchanging blows because they're at a dog park. So like, I mean, guys, like this could be a problem, but there's other problems too. And we're going to talk about some of the do's and don'ts or the
Yeah, there's pros and cons to a
yeah,
dog park. Like I don't think they should be outlawed or anything
no.
like that. It's just I guess if you love the dog park, there is sort of I guess you're just a little more relaxed than I am. But that stuff happens, and that's the stuff that scares me. Is like you just never know when something like that's gonna pop off. I
Yeah.
guess
Yeah, you don't expect to go to a dog park and get into a fist fight and get
yeah,
arrested.
and
I
then
mean, it's
end
just,
up in handcuffs.
yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I'm
Yeah,
sure that wasn't neither one of their intentions, but one of the good things about going to a dog park is, yeah, like your dogs get to socialize, right? I mean, a lot of times, dogs are just, in a single dog household, so they look forward to going to the dog park, and in most cases, they make friends. So it's great. They get to socialize, they get to hang out, and like, they get to play and
yeah,
stuff.
that's definitely a big positive because you know, dogs do love playing with each other. When I have been around dogs, just in like barbecue settings or whatever, like I mean I've visited dog parks, I've seen them. It really is adorable when dogs are like just mingling together and they love each other and they dogs remember each other a lot too.
Sure.
So it's like I have a couple of friends, they all have dogs, and during the summer when we get together and we hang out, they'll bring their dogs and they just let them run into the backyard all together and they get so happy and
Yeah.
they know each other. So
Yeah, they make friends. I mean,
yeah.
they make friends, and a lot of times if you go to the same dog park frequently, the dogs remember each other, and in most cases, again, they love each other. But again, we want your opinion though. If you've had an experience at a dog park, good or bad, we want you to leave a comment on this podcast because it's an important issue, and it's also very stimulating to the dogs. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
mentally, they're around people all the time, and they love to be around, their own, species to again just connect.
And then there's also like dog parks serve a purpose for those who maybe don't have a big yard. If you got a husky or something like that, where they love, or a big shepherd, they love running around in the yard. But not everybody has like this, like a big yard.
Yeah.
So in that aspect, where it's like you have the option of a dog park, where it's like you get to bring your dog there, and they're usually fairly big.
Right. Yeah.
And they could run around and do what they love to do.
Yeah.
So definitely there's a positive there.
Yeah.
Not everybody has the luxury of like, yeah, just let them in the backyard. Like, I don't have a backyard, so if I
Right.
did have a big dog, I probably would have to at least go to the park.
And a lot of the dog parks too also have like ramps and like tunnels and like these, like there's a lot of activity there,
Yeah,
like,
some of them are awesome.
yeah, like, they're built, they have little clubhouses that the dogs climb up into, and, they play hide and seek. Dogs are just hysterical at a
Yeah,
dog park.
dogs are
Um,
funny.
yeah. But aside also from the dogs socializing, people socialize, right? It's a great place to go and socialize with other people, other dog owners, and hang out and make a personal friend out of it too.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could find a mate.
Yep.
I mean,
Right,
that's
it's
sort of the
not
thing,
unheard
right?
of. I'm sure you guys, maybe some of you people out there who are in love, met at the dog park. You know what I mean?
That has to be a thing.
That's got to be a
It
thing. Like,
was 101 Dalmatians. I think. Well, it
yeah,
wasn't a dog park, but it was park,
yeah,
and
yeah,
the owners met there.
yeah.
So I mean,
Right.
it's a thing. You can find. Does anybody still meet each other in real life these days, or is it all like online?
At the dog park, I mean, if you don't bring yourself to blows with somebody, if you don't get
Yeah,
into a fist fight, it might be a great place to meet your future, wife or husband. You know what I mean? It's a great opening line too.
well, there
Like,
you go. We just solved it. We
yeah,
just solved it for you. If you want to go out and meet somebody for the first time in real life and fall in love, just go to the dog park.
just go to the dog park. Maybe like, your
It's
dog,
obvious.
you know, lifted its leg on another dog's head, and it's a great opener. What
Yeah,
better
hey, your
opener?
dog just pissed on my dog's head. You want to go out sometime? You want some coffee? We'll wipe up.
You want?
They got napkins at the Dunkin' Donuts. We go wipe off your dog's head with them,
Uh,
and we'll have a culotta. Do they still have culottes?
yeah, of course they have
I don't
culottes.
go to Dunkin' Donuts.
I
I don't
go all the
know.
time, dude. Dunkin' Donuts
You
is
do go.
awesome.
You go to
Yeah.
Dunkin' Donuts
I mean,
all the time.
large iced coffee, you're tripping for at least an hour.
You're tripping.
Okay, you are tripping.
High on life and
I
caffeine.
X exactly makes me feel like I'm back at the disco, at least for an hour. Mhm.
The disco. You're old.
I am old. Disco was fun though, man.
I wouldn't know.
Dude, I can't even explain it. And you guys know if you're, approaching 60 and, you were a teenager in the 80s, you know what I'm talking about.
You're
It's
approaching 60. Are you 60 yet?
Yeah, man, I will be soon.
Jeez.
Yeah, dude, getting old. That's why I don't go to the dog park. Too old. I don't
Yeah.
wanna get into an
You
altercation.
you don't wanna get in
I
handcuffs
don't
or
wanna get
fall in love. You're too old
Right,
for that too.
exactly. I don't wanna fall in love, and I don't wanna get into a fight.
Yeah.
So, that's why I'm here doing this with you, my son. But, alright, so, okay, with that being said, what are some of the I don't know, some of the things to look out for, some of the bad things that might happen at a dog park? Well, now that your dog is mingling with other dogs, right, and hanging out, and they're with their best friend, what if their friend has a really bad case of fleas? Alright, well, now guess what? Your dog has fleas, right? And it could be a huge problem.
That's that's a top one for me.
Mhm.
Like, when I get nervous about dog parks, it's the fighting, not with other humans. I didn't really know that story that you just told, so
Yeah,
that's
yeah, it was
pretty
bad.
crazy. That never really occurred to me, I
Yeah,
guess.
it's bad.
Um, but it's the dogs fighting, and like fleas or catching something,
Right.
because kennel cloth,
Yeah,
for example, is
sure.
something that is pretty rough.
Yeah.
And like there's lots of stuff that not everything is so serious, but like dogs can catch stuff from other dogs. That's really like those are like my top two concerns with dog parks.
Sure.
It's never like, oh, I don't want my dog to get away or run away. It's like it's that's not really where my mind goes. My mind just goes from like, something my dog's gonna get hurt in some way.
Yeah.
So that's definitely, and that's like fleas is like the ultimate. Like all you really got to do is be in the general vicinity.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
fleas jump,
they just
they
jump right
jump
onto your
2
dog.
feet in the air and they're right on your dog now, or not to mention, like, maybe your dog has a really bad, fungal ear infection and, they're rubbing up against each other and now your dog has an ear infection, or your dog has ticks. Maybe your dog has a tick or, and now you just gave another dog ticks and,
Yeah,
you
it
know
can get ugly like really, really fast. I guess the good thing, like the way to not combat that, but if you have, let's say like we live in a pretty small community, so if there's a dog park around here, um, it would probably be like the same people kind of going all the time, so you'd get used to it. So this probably doesn't apply to like everybody because it really depends on how big the dog park in your community is or how big your community is to begin with. Where it's sort of like you would know within a couple times of going, like, oh, every time we go to the dog park, my dog gets fleas. It's like, okay, well then you kind of know that that's where your dog's getting them.
Yeah,
Especially if you don't live in like a heavily wooded area or as
yeah,
far as ticks go and stuff.
yeah,
But like if you live in a small community and you go to the dog park all the time and your dog never catches anything, then I guess this becomes sort of something that you just have in the back of your mind, but it's not necessarily something that you worry about.
yeah,
Um, but bigger communities where they have these major dog parks, some of the ones that you were saying before, where they have like the ramps and stuff like
yeah,
that. I
yeah.
mean, hundreds of dogs a day probably
Sure.
go there,
Yeah.
so you'll kind of never know, if
Dog can have worms,
yeah, yeah, like it's and there's different dogs coming there from all over the place every day. So it's like at any moment your dog can catch something there because it's always around other dogs. Smaller communities probably mingling with the same dogs every week or every day, however often you guys go.
Yeah.
Um, it's honestly it's a whole world that I've
Something
never participated in a
Yeah,
dog
yeah,
park before.
yeah, and again, those of you who have, let us know. Here's another thing, not all dogs are real social. A lot of dogs suffer from antisocial behavior, just like people, right? They and with a dog like that, bringing your dog to the dog park may even stress the dog out even more than, if you just didn't socialize the dog. So it's a
Yeah,
whole 'nother aspect of it. Not all dogs are social.
if there was one bit of like advice, and again, I admit I've never really been part of the dog park world, the lore, but if there
The
if
Lord.
the lore of dog parks, but if there was any bit of advice that I would give to somebody, and I don't have to have gone to a dog park to know this, is that if your dog parks are cute, and I completely and practical for some people, there are reasons for dog parks to exist, but if if your dog is like highly anxious and doesn't like being around other dogs, and not even in a vicious way, I just mean in general, your dog is not a social dog and it has a lot of anxiety, I wouldn't force the issue and like, well, maybe the more I take them to the dog park, the more they'll want to socialize. Like if you go two or three times and your dog is just shaking like a leaf in the corner, I
Yeah,
don't think it's worth, because now you're just stressing your dog out. They have very sensitive hearts, and it's like you don't
yeah,
really want to do that. So if you have a practical reason for going to the dog park, um, by all means, it's dog park. Go for it.
yeah,
It's what it's there for. But if you have like a highly anxious dog that just never really feels comfortable around other dogs and it
right,
avoids other dogs and stuff, I don't think I would force that issue just
right,
because it's a cute thing or you might think it's good for them, but if they're not mingling and just sitting there shaking, I don't it's
yeah,
not worth it.
yeah.
Stay
You
home.
you might be putting your dog or someone else's dog at risk, so you want to avoid that. But here's another one. This is a huge problem. You have to be very, very careful, letting big dogs mingle with little dogs, okay? Because of what I just witnessed over the summer, okay? Had that been a little dog, that little dog probably would have gotten the worst end of that, okay? Being that it was, and the shepherd was actually a lot bigger than the pit bull, but again, pit bulls. powerful little dogs, he was holding his own. But if that was a little dog, a small dog, um, it may not have ended up so well. You know what I mean? A lot of times, even one bite from a shepherd that, I mean, just has, the jaws of a great white shark in the grand
A
scheme of
great
things.
white shark.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, a shepherd bite is could be devastating to a little dog. So again, that big dog, little dog mix, I would probably, if you have a little dog, I would be careful. Like, let's say you go to the dog park and you see a lot of big dogs, it might not be a great time to, bring your dog and let your dog loose. Or if you're already in the dog park and you see a couple of big dogs coming in, you might want to pick up your dog, especially if it's a dog that you don't know. I mean, if it's a dog you know, don't get me wrong, big dogs and small dogs get along great. They really do. But if it's a dog maybe you don't know, or a dog that, is showing any kind of aggression, especially if it's a big dog, you definitely don't want 'em mingling. One of our clients actually, I hate to even say this story, but dog lost its eye. Yeah,
Oh
and we
yeah.
have a video
We
on
have
it
a
too.
video or two
Yeah,
of
yeah,
him,
dog
yeah.
dog lost its eye, because
Yeah, he was attacked.
it got attacked by a bigger dog. So that big dog, little dog, uh, could could be a problem. So you have to be careful, right? If you're going to the dog park, just with that.
There's definitely two sides to the coin with the big dog, little dog thing too, because
Yeah.
on one hand, and I've seen this a lot, big dogs love getting chased by
Yeah.
little dogs.
Yeah.
So
They may be even like the antagonistic,
yeah,
part of it all.
like
They
the
like to, bite you and
I
run
had
because they know
yeah,
they're quick.
I had a friend once, she had 3 huge Dobermans and 1 pug, and the little pug ran the show, and it was the cutest thing ever.
Yeah.
But on the flip side of that, and this is just me again being more of a nervous type when dogs are mingling, is a big dog and a little dog hanging out together doesn't even have to be a fight. It's just if they're playing,
Yeah.
the big dog, depending on how massive they are, can accidentally step on the little
Yeah.
dog, gouge their leg, break
Good.
their leg,
Oh, good point. Good point. And
just from having a good time.
yeah.
So, again, this is like a lot of the stuff that we say is from the groomer's perspective. So it's like, again, this is in no way dog parks are bad. It just does come with risks, but it comes with, you could regular park or just walking your dog. It all has risk attached to it.
Yeah.
I guess really this episode is kind of, you know, checking the boxes of like, hey, just in general, when you're out with your dog, be careful. Well, we
Yeah.
always say the same. You keep your dog on a leash. I get it. Not some dogs can go their whole lives off the leash and it's fine. And but it's just that there are things that you got to be careful with. And I don't want to scare anybody, but sometimes it's good to be nervous
Yeah.
because if you have your head in the clouds all the time with your dog, let's say you've never been to a dog park and you just got a little Pomeranian and you think that a dog park is like regulated where they have professionals all
Yeah.
around and they'll separate your dogs, and a lot of the daycares do that, but dog parks a lot of times you just walk right in,
Yeah.
and if you don't know and you're not afraid because you've never experienced it before and you just let your little Pomeranian go in you never know what can happen. So I guess it's just like I like when people are careful with their
Yes.
with their pets because we have to be careful all the time. And I don't know, we
Yeah.
see it, I
Yeah.
see it all the time. Some people are very lax with their dog, and that's fine.
Yeah.
It's but
Just be cautious.
I would be more cautious with dog parks. Dog parks, especially, it's just because there's the whole purpose of them is dogs mingling, their
Yeah.
dogs stretching their legs, and
Yeah.
again, there's lots of practical reasons and great practical reasons when, like, such as what I was saying before. You don't have a backyard, you
Yeah.
got a big shepherd, you got a husky,
Yep.
you got to let them run somewhere,
Yeah.
and you can't let them run freely
Right.
in like a in every park.
And a lot of them they'll start teaming up too, especially the bigger dogs. They'll
Yeah,
start
yeah,
teaming up, and now they got this little pack going. It only takes like 3 dogs, and if they decide, if those 3 big dogs decide they don't like another dog, that dog's gonna get got. I mean, it's
yeah,
just the way it is. It's the way dogs think. So when you bring your dog to the dog park, it's no longer, it's really tapping into its primitive nature, and these are things you got to think about, you know what I mean? And I'm sure you guys have witnessed this, or had it, happen to you, where you're like, you see dogs, you know, just gathering their thoughts, and it's like, yeah, I don't like this new dog that came
yeah.
here, and he gets got. But
Yeah, you just there, it's a dog world in
Yeah,
the dog
in the
park,
dog park. Yeah,
and
exactly,
you
it's a good
know,
point. It becomes about them. It become
yeah.
they're, like, they're happy. They're happy to be a dog now, and again, it's part of their nature to kinda pack together and make friends like we do, right? I mean, it's a listen, it's a crazy world, um, but that's the way it is, and you have to be cautious. Before we end the show, though, I thought of this too, though, that could possibly happen at a dog park. We mentioned earlier that you could find a mate. You could also lose a mate.
Oh, there's a negative.
Ooh, right?
Because, yeah, like, what happens if you're at work,
Uh,
right? And, like, your wife or your husband,
Going to the
they go
dog,
there and they meet the guy that we were talking about, the guy or the girl that we
right?
were talking about
Ex
before.
right. You didn't know that the guy at the dog park looked like Fabio.
Yeah,
You know
right.
what I mean?
Yeah, and
And
then
now,
your dog pisses on his leg, and
yeah.
now he's taking your wife or your
Now,
husband
so
to
you have to be
and
careful.
then they end up at Dunkin' Donuts together. So you could lose a mate too.
You could lose a mate. I'm just saying that's again one of those things you got to think.
The dog park is very
It's
romantic.
it
It's very
can be a
romantic.
very romantic
Mhm.
setting in the right, in the
Yeah.
right
It's really
atmosphere.
the flip of a coin if you're gonna fall in love with somebody when you go to the dog park.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And,
see, I'm married, that's why I don't go to the dog
yeah,
park.
me too. I just, I don't go to the
I
I don't have
can't
to worry.
I can't risk it.
I can't risk it either.
Mm-mm.
So that's why I stay away. Listen, if there's not a fist fight going on, I'm done. I'm not,
The
I'm
fist fight thing is crazy.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
I forgot all about that,
yeah, yeah.
and I forgot the detail that the guy actually got
He
arrested.
got arrested. He got arrested, and I'm pretty sure it was the guy with the pit bull. I'm pretty sure it was the guy with the pit bull. And it's here's the thing, man. Again, the dogs squashed the whole thing. It wasn't even about the dogs anymore. Now you got two people going, your dog attacked my
Yeah.
dog. It's just stupid. It's stupid. It's
I
dumb.
I I get the defend your dog part.
Yeah,
I really do.
it's dumb human
Mhm.
stuff. That's the thing. It's dumb human stuff,
Yeah.
and egos flaring. Oh my God, God forbid,
It's the defend the dog thing is exactly why if you're a groomer and you you struggle with a dog, don't tell the customer that the dog was a pain in the ass or
No,
anything like that. People don't like to hear that, and
there's a there's a
that's
way of saying it. Listen,
yeah,
he struggled a little bit when I was doing his nails or something like that. Don't sit there and go, "Oh, your dog was a jerk. Your dog was so."
yeah, yeah.
Who wants to hear that,
No,
right?
all that's opening up is the possibility of that person defending their dog because
Sure.
nobody's going to want to hear that. And if you successfully groomed the dog, you just say, yeah, yeah, a little jumpy on the table, but you're such a good boy. Like, tell people want to hear
Exactly.
that the dogs are good.
Yeah.
Don't do, I've seen groomers make that mistake, and it's
Yeah.
like, why did you tell them that the
Yeah.
dog was bad?
Yep.
You did the grooming, so the dog couldn't. How bad could the dog have been? It was a success.
Yeah. People will defend their dogs like they defend their children.
Clearly,
So
they'll go to jail for them.
yeah, exactly. And again, it's part of the reason why we like talking to you guys. And again, we want your opinion on this topic. Do you bring your dog to the dog park? Have you had any, tell us about your good experiences. Have you had any negative experiences? Let us know. We really want to know. Drop it in the comments because again, it's kind of like an ongoing possible issue, and maybe we can better it too. Maybe there'll be some regulations on a dog park where it's got to be cleaned up properly or something like that. I don't
I
know.
do actually. I've always thought that it would be a great city job
Yeah,
that dog parks should have somebody there or two people or
and maybe they
whatever.
do already. I
Yeah,
don't
maybe
know.
I have no
Maybe they
idea.
do. I don't.
I have
I
no
don't
idea.
either. But
That's why I want people to go to the comments and
yeah,
tell us any
yeah,
stories that they have because this isn't like a controversial thing.
right.
It's just dog parks. Let's talk about it.
And let us know if your dog park visit ended up in
In
divorce. I
divorce
mean,
or an arrest.
or an arrest. So let us know.
Yeah, let us know. We want to know.
But anyway, like just listen, short and sweet show. Again, guys, we thank you so much for hanging out with us and checking out the podcast. But I think maybe we'll end it there.
All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. That's going to wrap up the show. Before we go, though, we want to remind you to keep an eye out for a very special episode of the Grooming by Rudy podcast with our guest, Erica Salvamini. She is the founder of Just for Paws Pet Spa, a Reiki master. She is also the host of The Rising Lioness. We had a great time with Erica filming our episode with her, so keep your eyes out for that. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to the podcast here. And if you also need any tips on dog grooming, you can go and check us out at Grooming by Rudy. Don't forget to like, subscribe to us there. So thank you guys so much again for watching. Take care.